get upset and get fucked
Yep.
while you're at it.
Yep.
Jesus Christ.
Sawed off shotgun, hand on the pump. All right.
Another 40. Yep.
Jesus.
All right, Fitz, do we want to go January 6th? Do we want to go banking? Do we want to go Matt Taibbi and Mike Snellenberger at Congress? These are three huge stories.
But this show is intended to be a dialogue. It wouldn't work if it was just me or just McShane or just Jefe. It needs to be a conversation, and it needs to be a balance between the wacky shit that happens in life and the funny stuff, all the way to the really serious stuff that we all need to pay attention to. And that's the balance we try and strike every week. And for all of those of you who are out there along the journey with us, thank you so much, because you are why we do this.
You're about to listen to Whiskey Hell Podcast, a show centered on recent news, excellent craft beer, and absolute debauchery. While the guys are getting ready, you can reach them on Twitter at whiskey_hell. You can also go to the whiskeyhellpod.com or email them at whiskeyhellpod@gmail.com. At the end, be sure to drop them a review as a thank you for the content. Looks like they're ready. Enjoy the show, and listener discretion is advised.
Starting March 11th, 7:23 in the evening, this is the news with Whiskey Hell. Fitz, it's been a week. We didn't think it was going to go crazy, but we hit the end of it, and holy shit.
And it went off the rails.
You know, when we set up these docs, we're trying to pick out, like, the most important things that our listeners would want to hear, but should also hear, right? Because that could be two totally different things. And this week, I just want to point out what we started off with, okay? We started off with underwater Molotovs. Okay, do you remember that story?
Oh yeah, I mean that was kind of my quote about the story,
right?
But yeah, that's the. Yeah. Okay. We started there.
Yep. We started there. That was more Nordstrom. And then suddenly a whole bunch of stuff, picked up. We had another individual who was flying from, I think it was London to JFK, and decided to pee on a whole bunch of passengers. I don't think we're going to get to that one tonight. Maybe we will. But I mean, we had also Clinton's attorney. His suicide was actually updated with a shotgun.
Yep, new evidence has been found, and you're going to love this one, guys. You're going to love this one.
And we even had, it was just, everything has been trumped by what we've heard the last couple of days.
I mean, yes, and going into next week, this is a tough week for you to be gone, man, because we should probably, kind of up front talk about a couple of different weeks coming up for Whiskey Hell. You're gone this coming weekend.
Right.
And then I'm gone the following weekend. So Jefe is going to be, he's getting called up from the minors. He's going to have to co-host. I think he and I have a time laid out that we can make that happen. And then I guess the two of you will have to figure out if you can kind of make the same thing work the next week. But my point to saying all that is that I think we have a couple of pretty significant news weeks coming up. I think the pace, it feels like the pace is picking up again. And so it could be a very important week. The last 2 days you were commenting on, the last 2 days have been huge, and the implications of what has happened. And we'll get into it, but it's significant.
Journalism and bank failures. That is going to be a big piece of what we do tonight. So let's go ahead and get into our beers.
Yeah.
Get after things. I got a hunch it's going to be a night of rabbit holes.
I think so too, and also a night of, those two things that you just said, journalism and banking. Those are two, I would say, underappreciated yet very important parts of American culture specifically, but culture around the world. The propaganda machine and what it can and can't say, and then our underlying financial system that for our lifetimes has been fairly stable. We've had some crashes, 9/11, 2008 was bad, but for the most part, it's been stable. And now both of those things are in serious question. And so, yeah, could be an interesting show. I've very much been looking forward to this show, only from the standpoint that, I love discussion with you, dude. We don't always agree, and I love that too. But when we do agree, it makes me think we're on the right track. And we've gotten some really good feedback this week on Twitter. People that listened to the episode last week and really enjoyed it gave us some good feedback. And so we've got some shout outs to do too. But I'll jump into my beer here. I'm very excited for this one, and you will quickly understand why. Yeah. This is another one from Untitled Art, which that I've been kind of on an Untitled Art kick here in the past, 6 months or so. I've got one every couple of weeks, it seems like, that they've come out with a new one. I grab it for the show because they're making some good stuff. This one is a chocolate cinnamon churro pastry stout. So how could I not grab that and put it in my basket? So they do the pastry stouts, the sweet stuff pretty well. I'm hoping it's not oversweet. That's never fun. But the chocolate cinnamon churro part, I love churros. Damn it, I love churros. It's definitely a weakness. So let's see what we got here. All right, I'll back it up. All right, taking a sip here. Oh my good God. Oh shit. Okay, you remember the do you remember the donkey show that we had a few weeks back?
How could I forget?
On the Mexican beach? All right. So after that show, the party, just stumbles its way down the shore and finds its way into some, casa, some little cabana, and a complete and total orgy breaks out with churros. Churros are going in people. People are inserting themselves inside of churros. That's what this is. This is
churro dildos too.
Oh yeah, that's what I mean. They're going inside people, but also people are putting them. This is an incredible beer. In all honesty, it is exactly what it claims to be. There is some chocolate in there. There's some cinnamon in there, and it tastes like you get that. I guess that doughy flavor from the churro at the end. Very solid beer, very, very well done. And it's an 8%er, so it's respectable, but it's not going to knock you on your ass. You could have a couple of these and still have a good night. So yeah, very, very well done. I'm very happy. What about you? What are you drinking?
So I'm doing something a little bit different tonight. One of my local places that I go to, they actually started doing something that's basically it's like canning. Okay, so it's not really a crowler. That's nothing new. But this is it's a can. It's aluminum. It's got a top. They screw the top on just like what a growler would, and you can walk out of there with anything that's on tap. So you're not sinking, $20-$30 into a growler. Right. But you can buy just a 16 ounce of whatever it is that you want to try. So what I did tonight was I went ahead and got something from Cerebral Brewing. These are not released in, well, they're released in cans, but they're not. It's a lot harder to find them out here. So what I went ahead and got was Forever Awake Imperial Coffee Stout. It is a rich, super coffee. I mean, it's you get the coffee nose on it is just it's right up there.
I mean, they brew it with espresso.
Oh yeah. I hope I get a caffeine high off of this too. Wow. I'm pretty sure this was an 8%er. Yeah, it is an 8%er. It's not, there's no chocolate to it. This is all coffee. If anything, the dark chocolate though, that bean.
Yeah. Oh yeah.
Okay. It's leaning towards that kind of a taste too. So this is good. I like this a lot. This is totally one of my beers.
Excellent. It sounds like we both made contact with the bat on these first beers here.
Yep, I totally agree.
You know what I'm waiting for? You know those there's coffee roasters out there, coffee brewers that feed these coffee beans to the marmot, the ferrets.
Yeah.
And then they let the bean go all the way through the ferret, and then the ferret, nature takes its course and the ferret shits the bean out, and then that's what they roast.
Yeah.
I'm waiting for someone to make a beer out of that coffee.
They did.
Okay.
It was Evil Twin.
Oh, well, that doesn't surprise me. Those crazy bastards.
Yeah, it's like ferret poop beer. Hold on. I'll pull it up here, but they totally did that.
All right.
Evil Twin.
I need to track that down, because I mean, apparently my beer reviews, the unique nature of my beer reviews are being known out there as Fitz reviews.
Oh, totally.
Because I have my specific brand, so I need to do a Fitz review on the ferret shit coffee beer.
I'll have to try and find it. I can't remember the name of it.
My God, these guys are just prolific brewers. I mean, look at all the beers they do.
And yet, every time we get one here, it sucks.
Yeah, it has the past few times. I think, I mean, if you go with, even more Jesus, that whole line, you can't go wrong with that. But I think you and I have been trying to get adventurous with them. Right. And some of their adventurous stuff is fucking out there.
Well, and if you stay towards their dark stuff, you're going to nail it. If you get into their more, like you're saying, the more adventuresome stuff, it may completely miss the mark. No, that's not to say don't go do it.
Oh, no.
But it's,
and that's not even to say, that they should stop what they're doing. I mean, you need the adventurers out there, oh God, why can't I think of their names? Just totally drew a blank. Anyway, you need the guys that are, cutting the paths out west, to just make some mistakes and do some naughty shit, because then that paves the way for other people to say, well, okay, we're not going to do it quite like that, but we're going to do it a little bit better. So anyway, we need these guys out there. It's just some of their beers can kind of, like you said, miss the mark.
Absolutely. I'll effort that. I'll find out which brewery or which beer that actually is. I can't remember it. That's coming back from what was it? Growler Radio days.
Oh yeah.
So, but
Lewis and Clark. Damn it. Lewis and Clark. I just could not pull that name up. And then it from in the depths of my twisted mind, Lewis and Clark. That's what I was trying to say. Out. Yeah, that one hurt. I felt that one. That was like somewhere down in my spine.
All right, let's go ahead and get out to let's go ahead and go to break, and we will come back and get after it.
Do it.
All right. So we did get some feedback this week, so I know we want to get into some of that. One of the questions that we posed, though, was about these 50 sexual positions And I think we'll
Yeah.
get into this more with Jefe when he comes on. We'll kind of deep dive what we get into.
Yeah, agreed.
But some of these positions, I could not believe what I was seeing.
No, I don't even know how some of them are possible. I mean, first of all, let's just say that, while we might not be, the most sexually experienced people on the planet, we have had our fair share of sex. Some of it really good, some of it really bad. And so I will say I've done the majority of these, or at least attempted them. Right?
Yeah.
But then you get to like a number 30.
30 doesn't make any fucking sense.
I don't know how that's physically possible. And please, for those of you, please pause us and pull this up on Twitter. It's in the show notes. Pull it up, and so that you can be looking at what we're looking at as we kind of go through this, because and please look at number 30. And if there's any of our listeners out there that can explain, first of all, have you ever attempted this? And second of all, was it successful? And did it feel good? Because, ow.
Yeah, because there wasn't any feed. Nobody could make any sense of 30 at all.
Yeah.
And this is the one where the guy is standing on his head, 1 foot against the wall, and he's got to have his dick in her ass, it looks like. I mean, maybe not.
And bent the wrong way.
Like. And it's
I
totally
know
bent the wrong way.
Some guys kind of curve that way. Some guys curve down. They curve south.
Oh, sure. Sure.
But so I guess that's for them. But I mean, for most of us, we tend to point to the sky, and that just looks painful.
Yeah. So, Drinks and Things podcast called out number 23 as a big what the fuck, and I agree that one too. That's like the guy he's got his hands on the ground.
Yeah, he's in bridge. That's called bridge. That's a yoga pose.
Okay,
yeah.
He's in bridge, and she's riding him.
Yeah.
I can't imagine being able to keep a partner up like that.
That's not a. I mean, he would have to be a specimen, like a fucking just a stallion, and she'd have to be 80 pounds, and then maybe you could make that fun. But for the rest of us mortals, that just looks like a lot of effort for not much, not much payoff there.
Right. The Film Spark pod, I believe that's Ebony's pod. She chimed in with 18 looks interesting. Now looking at 18, that totally works. I mean, that's a lot of work on her end.
And you need a staircase. So if you don't have stairs around, you're SOL. You can't do 18.
So it totally takes care of like the height. He's up on one stair, she's down one, and on her standing on her hands,
right,
backwards. So,
right.
I guess what I took away from this was there's a lot I have not tried, and
yes, agreed.
42. What the hell?
I don't know. Again, that's just things are pointing the wrong way. His neck. I mean, he's in plow. That's another yoga pose. Plow, basically a vertical plow, and his neck. That's not a comfortable position, at least for me. I mean, maybe it was in my 20s, so maybe this is just like only for people under the age of 28. But right now, I hold that pose and I can't breathe, and it stretches all my back and my neck, and it's painful. It's fucking torture.
See, and I'm wondering if maybe we need like a list of over 50 positions. It'll be like 3.
I was going to say this list gets way shrunk if we do an over 50. But hey, I mean, it doesn't mean, really all you need in your repertoire is a good 4 to 6 positions, I think. And you can keep each other very happy for a long time.
I think you're onto something, because it's also what you do within that position, right?
Right. I mean, it's that whole
position
thing,
has a variation of.
Right. I mean, and it's not the motion of it's not the size of the boat, it's the motion of the ocean kind of a thing. Another thing too is there is a certain, I can't talk. There is a certain level of eroticism to, hey, let's try something we've never tried before. Right. And so I get that. You could get in that cycle of, let's try number 18 because I've never done that before. And for a little bit, you can hold it and it's fun, but then you go, okay, let's just go back to doggy because that's way easier for both of us. So, I mean, I could see trying some of this stuff, but at the end of the day, I mean, are you really like, is this your go-to? No.
I wouldn't think so.
No.
Let's see here. New listener. Thank you, Brett James, for the shout out. We got 5 stars from him, and
yeah,
he said never vibrate your boys, based on last week's use of the phone as a vibrator.
Yeah. He was a new one. I've not seen him chime in before, but and you know, if you're a new listener, Brett, welcome. All new listeners are not just welcome here, but we want your input, your feedback. We want to know what you like, what you don't like. We want to know which number's your favorite position there on that chart. Hey, we got a Jefe sighting. That is great timing, Jefe. I can't even tell you.
That's phenomenal timing. Jefe,
what's going on?
True or false? Okay.
Okay.
Have you mastered all of the positions on the chart that we sent our listeners this week?
That's not really a true false. It's a yes no.
Well, okay.
No.
Okay, sorry. True. I think. Oh shit! All right, you win.
I haven't even tried half of those, let alone master them.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's kind of what McShane and I were saying too. Even at my most adventurous, I most of these would be out of my reach. Or I wouldn't have even thought of it. Like, what?
Yeah. I mean,
what's your favorite position, Jefe?
Oh gosh, I'm gonna give you a few here, if that's okay.
Of course.
Wait, it only goes up to 45. Aren't there more than that?
Yeah, there's 50.
Yep.
Okay. Yep. Well, we'll start with 3. 6 is good. 8 is wonderful.
Yeah, agreed.
11, Daddy Likey.
Mm-hmm.
21. What the?
I don't know. I don't know if he's shitting in her or what's happening there, but I don't know.
23. Forget about 23. Maybe 15 years ago I'd give it a shot, but
yeah. We talked about that, and that's a tough one. I'll tell you, I can't even do bridge all that well without a girl on me.
Right.
Yeah.
19 is nice. 30, forget it. What the hell?
We don't know. We don't know. And is 27's
kind of hot.
Oh yeah, totally. 29, is that a murder? What's going on there?
DPR.
That's not a murder. That's actually
Sir, you're doing it wrong.
Why are you actually 29 is a fan favorite here.
Okay.
Yeah. Have you guys tried 39 ever?
39.
Yes.
Yes. Yep, I've tried it. I mean, it's sustainable. Yeah, 39. It's sustainable for a little while, and then you just go, my God, this is so much work.
38.
Yeah.
Yeah, 38's a bit. 38's a big. That's a fan.
Yeah, that's a big one here at my house.
46. I mean, well, actually, I like 46, but I like with the feet on the ground instead of the knees. Is that on here somewhere?
So yeah, well, that's a
good
point.
Full on reverse cowgirl,
reverse froggy. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, kind of that's 22, but not really. I see what you're saying.
There, I'm going with this.
See, that was the other thing that I was thinking too, is like there's some that I've done that aren't on this list.
Yeah.
So we need our own whiskey hell list. you just giggle. Oh my gosh. All right. Well, that's fun. Hey, question for you guys. If you found out that your daughter was stripping, putting herself through school, and you were taking care of her car, what would you do if you found out that she was stripping? Would you take away her car, or would you stop paying for her car, or would you keep paying for her car? How would you handle that?
I'm gonna let you guys field this first because I don't have kids, so I feel like any answer I give is just going to be, invalid anyway. But I do have an opinion about this.
I'll go first.
Okay.
I would be perfectly fine with it. I would not stop paying for her car. My reason being is as long as she's still in college. It was probably a deal that I worked out. And now if she's going ahead and she's getting another job, okay, that's fine. I would hope at some point she says, you know what, Dad, I've got it. Don't worry about the car payment. I can go ahead and I can handle it. But there's never any shame there. I don't care if you're a stripper. I don't care if you're on OnlyFans. As long as you're being safe and that's a talent, okay, I'm not going to freak out over it.
Yep.
Yeah, I agree. Like, if you're doing that well, why am I paying for the car still?
Yeah.
So you would cut the car payment off?
Well, I would have a discussion about it.
Yeah.
Because, I mean, it just seems reasonable. I mean, I don't know. I mean, we're kind of missing the mark. I mean, I would definitely be more concerned about the stripping thing. I wouldn't want my daughter to be a stripper. Not that there's anything wrong with it, per se, but if I had my say there, I'd be like, why don't you try, dealing blackjack?
Yeah, but I mean, what if the alternative was like, a $12.50 an hour job at Best Buy? I mean, or she can go in for 2 nights a week, Best Buy 5 nights a week, and make jack shit, or go in and strip 2 nights a week, Friday and Saturday night, still have time for all of her studies, and pull down, $4,500 a week.
Yeah.
I mean, that's why girls do it. I mean, some of them just like it. Let's be honest. And the other thing I was thinking about is like, if I found out my daughter was stripping, and I mean, we all know the joke, but I would instantly be like, oh my God, I'm that dad. Like, I gave her daddy issues and now she's on a pole and it's my fucking fault. So I would have a lot of guilt. So I would totally keep paying the car. Yeah, that's just where I would be.
Drunk Bitches Be Like podcast. If they didn't have a problem paying the car note, thinking that she had another type of job, then I can't see their reasoning. If paying the car note was originally something they would do until she could afford it, the job is what it is. Sit down and talk about your new budget. Totally reasonable answer.
Yep.
Whiskey Tango podcast. New listeners, by the way. Am I me or the dad? If I'm me, maybe I go watch and see if she's any good, for research sake. But
that's a good point too. I mean, what if she sucks what if she's not a good stripper? She doesn't make that much doing it.
And what if she's just waiting tables in there?
Yeah.
Is that okay?
Yeah. I mean,
follow-up comment.
Yeah.
Sorry. Go ahead. So how's your week, Jefe?
This week, not good. Last week, phenomenal. This week, shit.
Really?
But tonight started off pretty good.
Good.
No good.
So
well, it's because, and this is just a guess, but I think it's a very well-educated, probable guess. But I think at this point, everyone knows that it's podcast night, so they all want to be part of the energy, the vibe going around Whiskey Hell, right? Yeah. Yeah. It's not, you guys, I want you to know, it's not that the whole world revolves around me, but it's just that most of it does.
Yeah. I mean, if people don't know that by now. Just missed-
Right. I mean, come on. Get on the D train here.
Hey, have you heard how are our champions doing, Gretchen and Buttercup?
They're doing well. Gretchen's just humming along. She's doing her thing. She's a big U of A fan, so she's happy that they're in the Pac-12 title game tonight.
Yeah.
And Buttercup been talking to her quite a bit, getting caught up, and yeah, had lunch with her.
Fantastic.
Good to reconnect.
Yeah, that's a I know that was an open wound for you for a long time. And if all that this serves is to sort of close that wound a bit, then it's a good thing. I'm very happy for both of you. It's a good thing.
Yeah. Yeah, it feels pretty good.
Does it? Ew. Sorry.
Oh.
All right. Well, when you come back, what's that?
What have we covered on the show so far? Anything?
You actually came in during housekeeping, so that was perfect timing. Yeah. We during your next break, we're going to discuss the toy that I tested.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm looking forward to that review because Jefe and I have both, given it a spin, and so I'm the instruction manual you got there, which it always kills me that these things actually have to have instructions sent with them, but the instructions for yours is pretty simple. It's like, lube it up, wash it off, and let it dry.
And yep. There you go.
Yep.
That's it. I like that they have to spell that out. That's fantastic. So anyway, yeah, I'm looking forward to that review. It'll be good.
Well, we will definitely get into it, so to speak.
Yeah, we won't. You did.
I did. I've gotten into it twice, but that's all I'm going to say for now.
Okay. All right. That's good. That's good because you have to, law of averages is you could have some bad ones in there. So it's good to have multiple tries.
That's true. That's true.
Well, I got to get back in.
All right, man. We'll see you in a bit.
Okay.
All right. So we're going to go to break and we'll get into the news because there's a lot to talk about. All right, Fitz, do we want to go January 6th? Do we want to go banking? Do we want to go Matt Taibbi and Mike Snellenberger at Congress? These are three huge stories.
Yeah, and there's a thread that runs through all three of those to me. And so it doesn't really matter where we start because I feel, I don't know, it just feels very dog and pony show. It feels very staged. It feels very much like, all right, we're gonna parade this pony around to make you be watching this pony, so you're not seeing the other like really bad stuff that's starting to happen. So they're all significant stories for sure. I'm not saying they aren't. I'm just saying that the pomp and circumstance and how angry both sides of the aisle are getting on this. I mean, you have the super progressives getting, God, they're like red in the face yelling. And then you have the conservatives doing the same thing, yelling back. And it's, if you're a moderate, if you're somewhere in the middle, it's like watching a tennis match. I mean, I've almost got whiplash from this last week from watching these two sides literally argue the most ridiculous things. But anyway, so I don't think it really matters where we start. Let's, can we start with Matt Taibbi and Snellenberger? I think because journalism for both you and I, this is something we've shared since we met. But I mean, journalism in this country is so important, and free journalism and journalism being sort of the fourth branch of government. And it was remarkable to me that on many levels, journalism itself was being attacked here. Not the fact that people did naughty shit and censored, a certain narrative that was going on, or boosted another narrative that was going on, but that the fact that these journalists were coming out and doing the right thing and getting the truth out there, they were the ones being attacked. And that to me is I'm shocked, and I'm angered by it as an American.
So both Matt Taibbi and Mike Schellenberger were brought into Congress to testify. And this was not just to testify. This was to go ahead and get your lashes by the Democrats. Yep. I hate saying it, but I was more impressed by Jim Jordan and how he handled things, even though it turned into a clown show because of a lot of things the Democrats were saying. At least they were trying to get information. I want to go ahead and play a little bit of some of the proceedings here.
Yep.
Mr. Schellenberger, you are recognized for your opening statement.
Chairman Jordan, Ranking Member Plaskett, members of the committee, thank you very much for inviting my testimony. In his 1961 farewell address, President Dwight Eisenhower warned of, quote, the acquisition of unwarranted influence by the military-industrial complex. Eisenhower feared that the size and power of the complex or cluster of government contractors in the Defense Department would, quote, endanger our liberties or democratic processes. How did he mean that? Through, quote, domination of the nation's scholars by federal employment, project allocations, and the power of money. He feared public policy would become the captive of a scientific, technological elite. Eisenhower's fears were well-founded. Today, American taxpayers are unwittingly financing the growth and power of a censorship industrial complex run by America's scientific and technological elite, which endangers our liberties and democracy. I'm grateful for this opportunity to offer this testimony and sound the alarm over the shocking and disturbing emergence of state-sponsored censorship in the United States of America. The Twitter files, state attorneys general lawsuits, and investigative reporters have revealed a large and growing network of government agencies, academic institutions, and non-governmental organizations that are actively censoring American citizens, often without their knowledge, on a range of issues. I do not know how much of the censorship is coordinated beyond what we have been able to document, and I will not speculate. I recognize that the law allows Facebook, Twitter, and other private companies to moderate content on their platforms, and I support the right of governments to communicate with the public, including to dispute inaccurate information. But government officials have been caught repeatedly pushing social media platforms to censor disfavored users and content. Often these acts of censorship threaten the legal protection social media companies need to exist, Section 230. If government officials are directing or facilitating such censorship, notes one law professor, it raises serious First Amendment questions. It is axiomatic that the government cannot do indirectly what it is prohibited from doing directly. Moreover, we know that the U.S. government has funded organizations that pressure advertisers to boycott news media organizations and social media platforms that refuse to censor and or spread disinformation, including alleged conspiracy theories.
Facts. We've read the Twitter files. These are facts.
Yeah. Yeah, I thought both his and Matt Taibbi's opening statements were amazing. They were on point. The fact that they were calling, that Democrats specifically were calling both of them, quote unquote, so-called journalists. Both of these guys have been journalists and in the journalism business for 25, 30 years. And so it's like, you know, it's that ad hoc argument. Like if you don't really have a valid argument for what they're saying, then you just attack the person. And that's what this felt like. It's just this childish, well, okay, you might be right, but I don't like you. And I don't like the color of your hair. Like, it's just ridiculous shit like that was happening, particularly from the Democrats, which is just, it's not shocking to me anymore, but I will say it is incredibly disappointing. This political theater is just disappointing. It's stupid and it's childish.
So this is Miss Plaskett, who, where is she from?
I don't remember.
So she's actually not even a real representative.
Oh, she's from Puerto Rico or somewhere. I think it's Puerto Rico.
Here's how she handled things.
I'll ask you, Mr. Schellenberger, how many emails did Mr. Musk give you access to?
I mean, we We went through thousands of emails.
Did he give you access to all of the emails for the time period in which?
Yeah, I never had a single request denied.
Okay, that was not the tape that I wanted there. We'll have to see what I can find it. But it was very clear when you're calling somebody a so-called journalist, or you can't understand what Substack is, because that was another issue that got brought up. You're right. I guess it's I don't even know what it is. I guess it's a website. That's the way the congressman said it. It was just insulting, and the fact that they were able to go ahead and be there and not go fucking crazy on somebody. More power to them. They had to keep a stiff upper lip, just kind of work through it, because there's a lot of ignorance in the room.
At one point, they were questioning Matt Taibbi, who is your source, and I thought we're not swinging off of Matt Taibbi's balls here, but I've always liked him as a journalist. I've liked when he's been on various podcasts, not just Rogan, but he's been on with Russell Brand quite a bit, and just a couple other podcasts I listen to. He's always gives great interviews. He's been around, guys. He's been in war zones. He was with Rolling Stone, for a long time. So, but I thought the way he answered it was, are you asking me to give my source? And they're like, well, we need to know. And he said, no, are you asking me to give my source up? Because I'm a journalist and I'm protected from that. I don't have to do it. And the person was like, no, you're not. Like, it just was like, he was in college arguing with a 5-year-old. And it really showed, kind of, as you said, how uneducated and how ignorant Congress has become. They should be the most informed people in our culture, and they're the least informed. They're the least intelligent. They're just figureheads.
Well, here's Representative Sylvia Garcia. We were talking about her.
When was the first time that Mr. Musk approached you about writing the Twitter files?
Again, Congresswoman, that would...
I just need a date, sir.
But I can't give it to you, unfortunately, because this is a question of sourcing, and I don't give up. I'm a journalist. I don't reveal my sources.
It's a question of chronology.
No, that's a question of sourcing.
Because you earlier said that someone had sent you through the internet some message about whether or not you would be interested in some information.
Yes, and I refer to that person as a source.
So you're not going to tell us when Musk first approached you?
Again, Congressman, you're asking me you're asking a journalist to reveal a source.
So then you consider Mr. Musk to be the direct source of all this?
No, now you're trying to get me to say that he is the source. I just can't answer your question.
Well, he isn't. If you're telling me you can't answer because it's your source, well, then the only logical conclusion is that he is, in fact, your source.
Well, you're free to conclude that.
Well, sir, I just don't understand. You can't have it both ways. But
I love that.
That's how big of a joke it was.
Yeah, you are free to conclude that. Like, she literally did not understand what he was trying to say. I am neither going to confirm nor deny what you're saying, you idiot. And she just kept on it. Yeah. So that's how the whole, what was it, 2 days worth? Just a circus. And again, I'm with you, McShane. My deep respect for both of these men, for keeping a stiff upper lip, for not just going off and being like, do you even know how to spell the word Constitution? Because that's where I would have started. Do you know what the First Amendment is? Please tell me what the First Amendment is. But they didn't. They kept their cool. I guess that's why they are the professionals that they are, and we're making a podcast.
I just here, let's listen to this. Here's Plaskett.
And that there's something going on between congressional Republicans and Elon Musk. Mr. Chairman, Americans can see through this. Musk is helping you out politically, and you're going out of your way to promote and protect him and to praise him for his work. This isn't just a matter of what data was given to these so-called journalists before us now. There are many legitimate questions about where Musk got the financing to buy Twitter.
The idea that I believe both of these individuals who are getting ready to testify, I believe they're both Democrats. The idea that two journalists who happen to be Democrats.
Did you not give that offer at 8 o'clock last
I'm
night?
talking now. Your time was ended.
Neither of us are in time.
I don't think they're here to help us politically. I think they're here to tell us the truth. And what happened? The full video, transparency. You don't want that, and you don't want two journalists who have been named personally by the Biden administration, FTC, in a letter.
The Biden administration.
And you're saying they're here to help us.
FTC.
They're here to tell their story. And frankly, I think they're brave individuals for being willing to come after they've been named in a letter from the Biden FTC.
Is this your question time now?
No, I'm responding to your ridiculous statements you made in your opening statement.
Okay, well, let's get on with it.
Ranking Member Plaskett, I'm not a so-called journalist. I've won the National Magazine Award, the I.F. Stone Award for Independent Journalism, and I've written 10 books, including 4 New York Times bestsellers. I'm now the editor of the online magazine Racket on the independent platform Substack. I'm here today because of a series of events that began late last year when I received a note from a source online. It read...
So he goes into his lead-in like Schellenberger did, and he just takes her to task. It's so arrogant. And it's not just Democrats. Republicans do this too. But this kind of arrogance and this kind of inflammatory, immature inability to just own you guys fucked up is frustrating. Yes, the Democrats asked to have a lot of shit removed from Twitter. They did. Way more than the Trump administration. Trump administration did it too.
Yep.
But the Democrats, they did a tremendous amount. All that was we're going to go ahead and bring these guys in, take them to task, and we're going to stick up for our boss. And it was just gross. Rather than all you had to do is say, okay, let's go ahead and talk about what happened and make sure it never happens again. Because didn't happen.
Whatever happened to like, hey, geez, sounds like some people really messed up, and we would like to know more about how they messed up so that this doesn't happen again. That to me would have been a healthy, exchange. Please help us understand what happened so that we can make sure it doesn't happen again. And instead, it was name calling. Let's discredit these people as so-called journalists. And never really get to the actual issue, which is some people censored information that would have been very valuable to the American public, specifically about the vaccines, about alternatives to the vaccines, and about whether or not COVID was actually planned or not, which now we know it was. I mean, we have the letters from the British government saying, hey, when should we release the next strain? I'm sorry. The argument that the American people, that we didn't want to cause panic, that the American people wouldn't be able to handle the truth, fuck off. I'm sorry. I will absolutely not stand for that. Some people, they will overreact, and some people will underreact. And in the middle there, you're going to get the rest of us going, hey, it's really nice to know that in a trial, a lot of people died from getting this vaccine. But they weren't saying that shit. They were saying all of you need to get it, or you lose your job, you can't travel, you can't see your loved ones in the hospital. I mean, the stuff that went on, if we really think back hard about the stances that people were forced to take, it's disgusting. And then now here we have two brave journalists coming out and releasing the information that gives us clues as to how this all went down. Now they are going to be personally harassed. Ridiculous.
So one of the things you were referring to was the information that came out this week about Matt Hancock in the UK. Here's the trade-off, the text trade-offs that took place. Matt Hancock asked when the government should deploy the next COVID variant to frighten the pants off the public. Matt Hancock, we frighten the pants off everyone with the new strain, but the complication of the Brexit is taking the top line. Damon Poole. I'm not sure who Damon Poole is.
He's a member of parliament. He's an MP.
Okay. Yep, that's what will get proper behavior change. Matt Hancock. When do we deploy the new variant? Damon Poole. Been thinking about this more and thinking we need to be more cautious. The strain, that is. Think you made the point earlier, but we need to keep schools off paperwork agenda. Matt Hancock. Yes. Damon Poole. Worth doing a bit about no leaking at the top, I think. Big risk with the variant. Right-wing papers go for renewed push for let it rip on the basis of vaccine strategy is undermined. Matt Hancock. That's why we reassure on the vaccine.
I mean, this is Matt Hancock. So he was the head of the NIH at this time, which is the National Institute of Health in Britain. He's the head, and he's having these kinds of text conversations. Someone hacked his cell phone account, which thank God for the hackers.
Well, it was off of WhatsApp.
Oh, okay. Well, there you go.
Yeah, somebody leaked the screenshots off of WhatsApp.
So regardless of where it came from, again, sources, this is the kind of conversations that were going on at the highest levels about us. And I'm reaching here, but I'm just gonna say it the way that I feel that they're saying it. That us cattle, us peons, are playthings for their manipulation. We are pieces on the chessboard that they can either move or not move. And they're actually having debates like that about when to do it. And it's just disgusting. And by the way, if you think that wasn't happening here in the US, you're crazy, because it was. So between the Twitter files, the stuff that's leaking here from the UK, and all the other stuff that's coming out now, we know it was planned. We know it was done for political reasons, financial reasons. Again, let's not forget. And I'm not tooting our own horn here, but we discussed heavily on a show in the middle of the pandemic that this was the largest transfer of wealth in the history of Western civilization.
Yep.
So in thousands of years, this was the biggest transfer of wealth from the bottom and middle class to the upper class. Trillions, we're talking trillions of dollars, went into their pockets from our lost wages, our inability to leave our homes, the gas prices going through the roof. All of that was planned. And we're left here going, what the hell is going on? So keep that in mind. Keep that framed as we continue our discussion tonight about some of the other stories that are coming out, because again, it's theater. It's theater.
So we're at about 55 minutes. How are you on your beer?
My beer is gone. I've been sipping on my side bitch, which she's lovely. She's beautiful. She'll never be my number one girl though. And she knows it. I mean, I was up front. I told her that. So she's fine being who she is, but she's not cutting it.
All right, let's do this real quick.
Yeah.
And then we'll get into the banking stuff afterwards. All right. January 6th. This was nice.
January 6th. Yep. This is one of my favorite parts of all of this coming out, with Tucker releasing the footage, talking about it on his show, and then you have this guy.
So, top Democrat on January 6th committee. We actually didn't review any of the surveillance video.
No, he said they had an outside investigation firm.
Yeah, they had staff that took care of it for him.
Yeah, and they sort of, his quote is, they sort of looked through the video. Okay, people are in prison for years. This guy specifically, this shaman, the QAnon shaman, he's in prison for 5 years. And the videotape that has been shown by Tucker, that has been released by the House committee, McCartney, shows that he was escorted by police, by Capitol Police throughout the building. He was escorted the entire time, and he's in prison. And And we have people, I mean, dude, the guy, remember the dude that jumped up on stage and assaulted Dave Chappelle with a knife? Like literally tried to stab Dave. Yeah. You know what that guy got?
He got a few days and on a $3,000 fine.
You bet. You're exactly right. And no prison time, no nothing. He tried to assault another person with a weapon. And this guy, the shaman, he was escorted through the building with police around him the entire time, and he was given 5 years in federal prison. Guys, we're in a dangerous place here. Dangerous.
Now, I'm going to say this because I don't I don't trust Tucker for anything.
Oh, me either.
But I will say this. There is enough information out there now that you damn well better release all the footage so that everybody can see it and they can go through it and make their own mind. At this point, you have to. And just from the standpoint that this Benny Thompson admitted that they actually never looked at the video. Well, you just had your marching orders. You just ran out there and did what you were told. You had your script.
Yep.
That's not what we do. That's not. And this maybe the whole committee process is bullshit anyway.
Yeah.
Let's be honest about that because Congress can call a committee together at any time about any freaking subject. But they're not lawyers. It's not a legal proceeding.
Nope.
They get to go ahead and make judgment calls that are pretty fucking random if they wanted to, because they don't have to have. I mean, they're only going to let you see what you want, what they want you to see.
It's narrative based. You know,
it's completely narrative based.
You can go all the way back to the Warren Commission. That's been disproved. Everything in the Warren Commission's bullshit. We know that what the Warren Commission said happened on that day in Dallas to President Kennedy is bullshit. The 9/11 Commission, that's been debunked from page 1, their statements in page 1. So you set up these commissions, these committees in the Senate, and that's a great point, McShane. These are just people. They're charismatic people often. They're people that have the money to even run for these offices, and then they get elected based off of how many commercials get aired and the image that they put forward to the people. But they don't have any investigative experience. They don't have any education in constitutional law often. I'm sure some of them do, maybe one or two. But they have no real reason to be on these committees other than they are our representatives in the House, in the Senate, to make decisions based on what we want. And they're not doing that. They're just saying, well, we've got our narrative, we're going to follow it. And the American people just, hush, hush, go back to work now. No big deal. Nothing to see here.
So we're not going to go back and play any of the Tucker stuff. You guys, there's plenty out there. Go watch it.
Yeah, it's all over.
Our whole point in being is to not make you think in one direction or another. That's not it. Yeah, we totally give our opinions. Yes, we call bullshit on a lot of things, and we praise a lot of things too. But we try to keep it pretty honest as far as what we're seeing and what there is that you guys need to go actually look at. Make your own decisions. Think things through. This is a big thing. I mean, we're talking about staging a coup in your country. This is an attempted coup, and
supposedly,
allegedly.
And really, now the footage is showing that's not true. Down to and including the police officer that they said was beaten to death that day. And there's footage of him after they said he was beaten. There's footage of him walking around, showing people where to go. He died of a stroke the following day, guys. He wasn't beaten to death. So 0 cops died that day. The only person that was killed was one of the quote unquote rioters. So it wasn't a deadly insurrection. It wasn't violent the way that they want you to believe. People were not being terrorized. They weren't being raped. They weren't being none of these things that happened that we've done in other countries. No, that none of that was happening. These were people that were upset about the election. They wanted more answers. Answers weren't being given. Someone let them into to the building, and then they were escorted around. A lot of them were, not all of them, but a lot of them were.
And again, allegedly, the video footage we're being given is the opposite of what was originally given to everybody, right?
Sure.
So no telling how it was edited.
Yes.
Give us all the 41,000 fucking hours of footage and let people actually tear this apart.
Yeah, and even at that, dude, we were just talking about you had an article earlier this week, a couple days ago, about how the DOD is using deepfakes to do psyops.
Yep.
Well, how do we know any of this footage isn't a deepfake? It could all be fake.
Yeah.
That's what I mean. This is political theater for all of us to get up in arms and be upset and pissed off at the other side for lying, or the other side for not doing enough, or whatever.
So don't run out there and be pissed off. Think it through before you get pissed off.
Yeah. Or just be pissed off that they're lying. That everybody's
they're
lying
all
to
full
you.
of shit. They're all full of shit.
Yeah. Yep.
All right, Fitz, let's go ahead and get into our second beer. What do you think?
I'm excited. Let's this next beer is kind of a shot in the dark for me. So I'm let's let it rip. Let's see what happens.
I'm with you on mine's a shot in the dark also. So
Cool.
All right, back for beer 2. The first one finished really, really nice. Really, really happy with it. And that was my Cerebral Brewing Forever Awake coffee beer. Super, super coffee. Fitz, this time I'm going to go with a beer from 903. And we haven't had a great amount of success with these guys in the past, just because they're flaky.
Yeah, they are hit or miss.
So I'm hoping this beer does the trick. This is a barrel-aged beer called Squatch Tracks.
Okay.
It has kind of a clear brown look to it. Not viscous like a lot of imperial stouts would be, but this is an oak barrel-aged stout. I'd tell you more, but their site sucks. And they're so frustrating. They really are. If there's a beer that you have that is in your repertoire, like you're gonna keep the recipe around and build something off of it, fucking keep it on your site.
Amen.
Don't be goofy. And these guys they've got a lot of beers.
Yeah. Yeah, you don't see Great Divide. You go on Great Divide's website, right up front, prominent. Stage 1 is Yeti. Because that's their moneymaker, and they put it in the focus in the front. And I don't know why brewers like 903 is a great example. There's other ones out there that we've seen, but on their website, it's kind of a cluster. You don't really know what you're looking at, or what beers are playing right now, which ones are in the chute getting ready to be released. You don't know any of that. It's just like, well, here's some beers we made at one point or another. It might have been 15 years ago, might be tomorrow. You don't know.
And when you are trying to get interest across the country, put it on your website.
Yeah. Yep.
It's just frustrating. So here's my I'm going to say I have not taken a drink yet, but I am really curious if they ripped off Yeti. That's what I'm looking for here.
Okay.
Wow. All right. Heavy lactose. It's sweet, boozy, decadent. This is a Night Ender.
Okay.
It's not a bad beer. I don't like sweet beers, and that's what this is, but this is like a milk stout. This is a amped up barrel-aged milk stout. That's what I'm taking in from it. It's got an aftertaste to it. It smells boozy. I'll have to see how it warms up. It's not unfriendly, but it's yeah. I'll get into it more later.
It's not inviting you in for a drink either.
No. This is I'm going to have a conversation with this woman at a bar, and I'm going to find out as I'm talking to her that I really regret buying her that drink.
Uh-huh.
And I have to pretty much resort to, well, I mean, it was like a good 20 minutes of conversation at least.
Sure. And it made you look cool to your buddies who sent you over there in the first place.
Yeah, there you go. That's it. So
Yeah.
we'll see. We'll see if she warms up a little bit.
Yeah.
And that might change things, but right now, not my favorite Imperial Stout. What you got?
All right. Well, I did a complete 180 flip here. I went from a sweet, decadent pastry stout, which, by the way, that beer finished way too fast. Way too delicious. I haven't even tasted this new beer yet, and I can already tell you which beer I'm taking to bed. That chocolate cinnamon churro beer was fucking amazing. But this one is called Taffy Pull. It is from Hop Butcher, and it is a saltwater taffy India Pale Ale. Now, things are getting fucking crazy here because you got your shake IPAs, you got your hazies, and now they're doing saltwater taffy IPAs. I've never heard of such a thing. I have, of course, had to put it in the basket. Now it says it's brewed with sea salt and vanilla. So okay. I don't know what I'm heading into here. This could really be just an absolute flat tire halfway back home, or it could be a home run. I don't know.
I just want to hear about your taffy getting pulled.
Okay.
Go ahead.
I will I'll speak slowly.
I mean, that's what the listeners want.
Right. Oh, okay.
Pleasantly surprised. Okay.
All right. So right off the bat, I feel like I'm chewing on an orange rind. I mean, it's just super bitter right up front.
Okay.
But then as she hits the back of your throat, the vanilla orange, like cream part of it comes in, and it's actually a really pleasant finish. It's really violent up front. I mean, it's a baseball bat right to the face. And then at the end, I'm sorry for hitting you in the face with the bat. I'm going to now, perform fellatio. Really I'm not sure I've ever had a beer that is so dichotomous this way, that really goes from something you don't like in your mouth to something that you want more of in your mouth. That's weird.
So
it's really weird.
It's a bipolar beer.
Yeah, totally. It's totally bipolar. It's depressive up front and then manic on the back. And I'll tell you what, it is pulling my taffy. It is definitely pulling my taffy. This thing needs some, some kind of a big pharma drug to even out the highs and lows. But all in all, I'm not unpleased. It's like one of those things, like I don't want to take the first sip, but I can't wait for the finish.
That is fantastic. Okay, so now I'm interested to see how that one warms up too, because
agreed.
You would think that it's going to probably mellow out and balance a little bit over as it reaches room temperature or close to it.
Yeah, I'm hoping.
So I'm not seeing this particular beer in their
Jesus
artwork.
See, here's
but
another.
They are fucking. I mean, they did a nice job with theirs, at least. I mean, you get the full essence of what the Hop Butcher is.
For sure. And the artwork I love, but this is another one where you're like, I mean, there's so many beers. They just put out so much stuff. You don't even really know what you're looking at or looking for.
Oh, no, you totally can't. You
Jeez.
Absolutely can't. But they have quite a eclectic array, mostly IPAs and stuff like that. But yeah, it's impressive. Where are they from?
I can't read it. You know, the way this can is, it's so the background of the can is a bunch of like pink, peach colored polka dots, a bunch of small little polka dots.
Mm-hmm.
And then on top of that, then they put their writing, and the polka dots just confuse the eyes. I literally pulled out my phone and got the flashlight on it. I still can't read half the shit that's on here. So I have no idea where they're from.
They're an Illinois beer, it looks like. I was able to get that much. I'm sorry I didn't see them when I was back in Illinois.
Yeah, no,
that's
I didn't see them either. I didn't at all see them.
All right. Well, cool. That's different. That's why
interesting beer. And it is a 7%. So again, I'm not going super, over the top. Let's see. It's a race to see who can throw up first. But it's, it's respectable, and it definitely would, get the job done. But I've not had a beer that's quite so just different from the way it enters and then the way it exits. Very, very strange.
All right. Well, that's neat. I mean, that's why we, that's why we do it. Well, Fitz, it's fascinating. Let's do this.
We are starting to get a more precise sense of what it means when Joe Biden brags about the strongest and most equitable economic recovery in modern history. What it means is it could be time to buy gold and stockpile food. Oh, there's a deal on Russian steel case? I think I'll pick up a pallet. Just kidding, sort of. Yesterday, some of the biggest banks in this country, Wells Fargo, Bank of America, JP Morgan, Morgan Stanley, collectively lost more than $50 billion in market value in one day. That's quite a hit. On the other hand, those banks still exist, and you can't say that for Silicon Valley Bank. As of this morning, Silicon Valley Bank, or SVB, has gone under completely. That makes the second biggest bank failure in the history of this country. And the significant, SVB financed nearly half of all venture-backed healthcare and technology companies in the United States. It also apparently held significant cash reserves for some of the biggest cryptocurrencies, and it's now gone. Federal regulators have renamed it and taken it over, and that means an awful lot of people lost an awful lot of money. And no, most of that money was not insured, no matter what they tell you. The FDIC only guarantees bank deposits up to $250,000. And according to some reports, more than 90% of all deposits at SVB exceeded that. And it's unclear whether those people ever see their money again. In fact, when customers showed up at SVB's branch in Manhattan today to get their deposits back, managers called the police. So what we have here is a 1929-style bank run, and that's not a good sign for anyone. The question is whether the people who run SVB saw it coming. The CEO, a man called Greg Becker, apparently sold more than $2 million in bank stock over the last 2 weeks. According to the site Unusual Whales, several other high-level employees of SVB, including Chief Marketing Officer Michelle Draper, Chief Operations Officer Phil Cox, General Counsel Michael Zuckert, all sold significant amounts of stock in SVB this year. Did those employees know their bank was in trouble? We don't know. And once again, where were the regulators who were supposed to prevent this? Once again, we don't know. And the business press supposed to be telling ordinary people what's happening with business? Apparently, nobody noticed anything. In fact, as with the FTX crypto scam, you may recall, self-described financial experts in the media were busy promoting Silicon Valley Bank as a great investment that would last forever. The formerly great but now quite embarrassing Forbes magazine, in fact, named SVB to its list of America's best banks, not once, but 5 years in a row.
Wow. I'm sorry. I still want to kick Tucker in the teeth, but
well, he's that arrogant dick that you went to high school with.
Yes.
And he's just annoying, and he's got his soapbox, and this shit falls into his lap, and he's just going to be an arrogant prick and just tell you all about it. And you're not supposed to like him.
No, but sometimes his over-the-top voice and that face, it's like, you know what? Nobody could have said what he just said any better. because he makes these people look like they're fucking idiots, and they are. And again, we the people get duped. What was it? Jim Cramer, that fuckstick. He was 2 weeks ago, maybe it was a month ago. He was saying buy on SVB.
No,
it
was like
buy.
Yep, he was like 10. I think it was 10 or 10 days, 2 weeks ago. Like you said, he was all in on SVB.
Thanks, Jim. Thanks. I wonder how many people bought on his recommendation and are now fucked. And I mean, so this is kind of what we were talking about in the beginning of the show. You know, we had some news starting this week, but man, Thursday, Friday. So you had first to fall was a bank called Silvergate, and they are heavily into crypto. They fell, completely went insolvent. And again, the way these things happen, and I'm not going to get too technical. I don't want to. This is not a financial literacy show. We get into finance and economics, but
we are not
basically
money managers. Don't listen to us.
No, don't listen to us. But I do know what happened, which is that because of our fractional reserve system, meaning banks only have to keep a fraction on hand of what you deposited and then lend out the rest of what you deposited to make money off of it. Because of that fractional reserve system, and because the economy is being so hard on tech companies were coming back to their bank and saying, hey, we're going to need some of that money that we put in our savings account in your bank, because we have to cover costs. And the bank was like, oh shit, we don't really have it on hand. So they tried to sell bonds.
Well, no, they were all of the money that they had was tied up in bonds, and because the Fed's been raising the rates, it's absolutely ass raped them. So they don't have the money because they've lost so much on the bonds.
Because
so now,
it's fractional reserve, they don't have to keep your $1,000 in there.
Exactly. So when you put your money into the bank, they're going to say, thanks for loaning it to me. I'm going to go make some money on this. That's how it works. So now you have all of these tech startups, all of these venture capitalists, all of these hey, we're going to go ahead and we're going to start this clean energy company. Hey, we're going to get into crypto. All of these companies that were brand fucking new that aren't really making any money were loaned money by this company, by this bank. And now that money ain't there because the bank has gone ahead and sunk it into very questionable investments.
Well, and to be fair, federal bonds should be fairly secure, but
absolutely,
unless the
Fed is jacking up the rates like they are.
That's right. And as we've discussed, the Fed is jacking up rates. I mean, pretty much every fucking quarter. They're jacked up at least 0.25%, sometimes up to 0.75% back in September. So you bought these bonds at 2.5%, and you're thinking hey, and now they're at 5.5%. You're fucked. You just lost a lot of money. So that brings me back to what I was saying is that the bank is like, shit, we don't have the money to cover all these people coming in and wanting their money back. So they tried to raise some capital, and everybody fucking ran from the hills. Nobody would invest back in this bank because they know it's insolvent.
Well, and also because Moody's downgraded them. As soon as Moody's downgraded them,
you're right.
that stock raise, nobody's going to go to bed with you.
No,
you're the dirty whore. So, you've got syphilis. We're not going to do business with you.
Well, I mean, if I drink enough, maybe.
And these really idiots.
Yeah.
Sorry. Not only did they invest in bonds, but they also invested in bad mortgages. What's happening to the housing right now?
Well, of course. And what year is this? Is it 2008 again? You fucking morons. Do you not know that we had a housing bubble? How is it that you and I, two knuckleheads from fucking Scottsdale, Arizona, can figure this shit out 8 months ago and say, hey, get out of housing. It's going to crash. We've been saying that literally for 8 months. How is it we can do that? But these banks have no fucking clue. They're we're just going to keep investing.
And how would they not know when their chief administrative officer is from Lehman Brothers?
Well, there you go. So again, these individuals are making
Joseph
bank.
Gentile.
They're making bank off of our money. They're stealing. It's thievery. They're stealing our money. And then our banks collapse and they go, well, sorry, nothing we can do. It just collapsed. We never saw this coming.
So the trickle down from this, what's going to end up happening?
That's what I was going to get to.
Now,
that's
the majority of folks that actually bank with SVB are super high end, right? This is like the 16th largest bank in the country. Now, it's in Silicon Valley. It handles mostly venture capital, new businesses, things like that. One of their part of their business structure is that we're going to go and loan you a ton of money, and we know you're good for it because when you do your capital raise, you're going to pay us back. It's like a handshake and a nod. Okay.
Yep.
I can't say that it's not legal. I don't know the ins and outs of it, but that's what they do. So what's going to end up happening is now you've got all of these venture capital companies, right? All these new climate driven companies, technical NFT, crypto companies that are not going to have access to their money that's just been evaporated.
Yep.
So you want to see layoffs?
Yeah,
this is going to destroy Silicon Valley.
Yep, that's exactly what I was going to say earlier. It's not the fact that this bank went down; it's the ripples that it's going to make. This was a really big rock thrown into the middle of a pretty small pond, and not the biggest. No. But that pond is connected to other ponds.
Oh, it totally is.
So that's what's scary. And I'm
we still haven't seen the stock market tumble, and we've been expecting that to happen, like a severe tumble, not what this up and down jerk fest has been. Right. We're still expecting some kind of a black swan event also. I mean, we've talked about that several times. And I don't think that this was it, but who the hell knows what the rest of next week is going to yield, because this is the kind of thing, this bank failure is the kind of dominoes, like you were saying earlier, the ripple effect is going to reach to what's going to happen with regional banks then. So you've got this local bank like SVB, but then people are going to take their money out of SVB because the FDIC went ahead and, covered, as I think they were going to cover. The rumor I saw tonight was up to 95% of somebody's deposit.
No matter what the deposit was?
Right. Yeah.
Because I heard
that's one of the rumors I saw.
Okay.
Yeah, that came from Bill Ackerman, I think.
Okay. I mean, definitely a legit source.
But 250,000 was the original amount that the FDIC
that's
recovered.
What I heard. Yep.
Yeah. So past that, there's rumor that they're going to go farther than that to try and make things good. But what they're also trying to do now too is they're trying to find. You got hedge funds that are trying to buy up deposits. You've got companies like Google have already asked to buy up deposits, and they're not letting them because of the what do you call it, not the power, but the conflict of interest that there would be there. So you have all of these different factors. These different players are trying to buy up all of the deposits that were actually in SVB. So if you're a venture capitalist and suddenly you're like, you're working with some dude at SVB and all of a sudden Bill Gates owns you. Well, that's kind of fucked.
Oh yeah, no, it is.
So you're going to see stuff like this happen. And when people start taking their money out of here, they're going to start putting it over into regional banks. The people who are in regional banks are going to turn around and go, well, I can't leave my money here. I need to go and put it in a Goldman Sachs.
Yeah, or a Wells Fargo or something like that. So
when you think about the ramifications of this bank going down, bigger than Wells Fargo. No, we're talking Goldman. We're talking the Wall Street big boys. This one goes down. This one gets cannibalized. It's kind of like when, what was it? Not Citadel. What was the hedge fund that got absolutely crushed by AMC?
Yeah, it was Citadel, wasn't it?
Was it? Oh, God. No, I thought it was a different one. Anyway, that hedge fund, you talk about the cannibalism that happens. This really looks to me like we're going to get rid of a bank. we're going to get rid of all of these guys in California, and we're going to go ahead and pull them into somebody else.
Yeah, I fully believe that. And I what's also kind of a side note here is that SVB was on the New York Stock Exchange, and FDIC isn't going to cover any of that.
Nope.
And if you look at the candles on that thing, and watch it fell 60% before it triggered a stop order. That's like you bought something for $100 and now it's worth $40.
So
and people bought billions of dollars worth of stock of this thing. It's so that there's that ripple too. I mean, it's not just a rock was thrown; it's like 3 or 4 rocks were thrown, and you don't know where these ripples are going to go. Like you said. Then on top of it, you have human nature. These people are going to cannibalize one another, and literally they will hack companies apart if they can get pennies off the dollar for it. They'll just kill it. Yeah.
And SVB is going to try and they're going to try and save what they can for their actual owners, and they're going to sell off everything. It's within SVB. Here's something else. A couple other things we got to get to. So the FDIC came in and they're asking the SVB employees, to stay on. Please stay on for 45 days. If you stay on for 45 days, we will pay you 1.5 times your salary.
I mean,
that's how bad they want them to stay. That's how bad they want them to stay.
Yeah.
Now, prior to all this happening, the CEO bailed on his stock.
I was just going to say that now we have that piece to get to, which Tucker sort of covered.
He sort of covered it. What do you do with that? If you didn't know that this shit was coming, I mean, you didn't just up and magically, oh gosh, I'm really glad I got rid of 2 million shares of SVB the other day.
Yeah, and it wasn't just him. It was other people in that inner circle that all knew his head lawyer, his head retainer. So again, at what point does the regular Joe, the fucking mechanic down the street, who is an honest, hardworking guy, who just wants to get a good living for himself, his kids, fuck my body. I'm gonna just sacrifice my body so that my kids have something when I die. What is he going to work tomorrow for?
God,
why would he even show the fuck up? Because it doesn't matter how hard I work and what I invest in, someone somewhere is a predator and they're just going to take it.
Yeah.
That's so, I mean, yes, we have an economic hit. We have financial things coming down the pike, shit always rolls downhill, but the morale of the American worker, the blue collar, the white collar, geez, man, this is the kind of stuff where I go, why are we doing this? Why do we keep playing the game?
Yeah.
I don't know. Craziness. And I will just quickly say this before we move on from SVB. McShane and I are covering. We are skimming across the surface of this thing. We are giving you the hot air balloon view of what's happening down on the ground. But believe me, down on the ground, there are people panicking. There are people making money. There are people losing money. And then there are other people who are just saying, how can we kill this thing fast enough so that it doesn't hurt me? You have all of those forces tugging and pulling and making for a really ugly scene. And it's a Saturday. Wait till Monday hits. Just wait.
You're goddamn right.
Yeah. So anyway,
let's take a break.
I guess.
Let's take a break and we hit Mexico and the RL Stine.
Excellent. We got a Jefe sighting too, so we'll have Jefe when we come back.
Sounds good. Jefe.
Yes.
Welcome home, brother.
I'm a little late getting out here.
Oh, you're okay.
Dude, actually, what's crazy, again, perfect timing. I think the first one, McShane and I can kind of plan because we know when your break is supposed to happen so we can get through our beers and just start getting into the news and then you show up. The second break, though, is all up to you. And we just finished discussing all the financial shit that went down this week. And we were just taking a break, and then boom, you showed up. So good timing again on your part, dude.
Nice.
Yeah, well done.
All right. So
yeah. Let's hear it. Let's hear it.
Jesus Christ. All right. So I had a toy. Our anonymous benefactor reached out to me on Instagram, and I had a toy. I'm gonna bring it up here, and I will do a review on it. That'll be on Amazon, so you guys can go out there and look at it. It'll be from Whiskey Hell. But this toy was actually called. It's a male masturbator. It's such a terrible name. I want to say it was a slave. Slave's a terrible name for it.
Yeah, I think that might be cancel culture no right there. I don't know.
Oh, I did that, didn't I? Son of a bitch.
Yeah, go ahead.
So this was a sleeve. It's a male stroker, and it was I posted video online about this even, and first of all, do you remember those finger toys back in the day that were filled with water and they're really squishy or like a gel?
Oh yeah, you couldn't hardly hang on to them.
Yeah, they just like squished around and everybody thought they were really funny and shit. That's what this is. And you stick your wang in it, and you just jerk up and down. There's really not a lot to it.
So it's not. There's no mechanical. There's no vibration. No motor. No help.
No, I am the help. So in this, I'm gonna send you guys a picture of it really quick. Now, this device, it is ribbed all over the insides of it, right? I mean, it's totally ribbed, and it's ribbed in various different ways that I guess are pleasurable. I don't know. They're called dense nubs, huge bumps, and linear ribbed. Okay.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So you can kind of see how thick this thing is. And it's got some serious weight to it also, but it is as flimsy and it's like it's gel. It's like it's gel.
Yeah, I was going to ask you. I mean, how heavy is this?
It was about 6 ounces, 7 ounces, probably, maybe 8. It's got some it's got some weight to it. It's not quite a pound, but I'm gonna send. I'll send you guys this video.
That's a workout.
Yeah, it was. Yeah. It was kind of brutal. So I tried it last night, and I was drunk, and it was a bad idea. Never. I tried to be scientific after like a lot of beer. I tried to use let's see here, coconut oil. I'm a big fan of coconut oil, and it got all fucking over the place, and then it got on the outside of it, so it was like trying to trap a bar of soap.
Oh yeah.
So that was terrible. I actually ended up using it and went back to the old fashioned way.
So what is the so the red thing is like a constrictor? It makes it tighter?
Yes.
Okay.
So it's a belt, which, by the way, the belt doesn't work when you get it wet with lube. The belt just fucking flies off and goes across the room.
Nice.
If you're firing away. If you're pistoning too fast, I think, is that the right word for it? Pistoning?
Oh yeah, it is now.
So yeah, that does not stay on there. So last night was an absolute fucking train wreck. This morning, however, sober, the device worked okay. It's still way too big. In that it's too big in the hand, right? I mean, I filled this out as I should have. So it wasn't too constricting from But it was like, rather than having, the normal girth, you're jacking, 5 inches or 6 inches of girth.
Yeah. I could see this, particular device not being, it wouldn't translate well to somebody like let's say someone who was built, just overly big, because then it would just be, you wouldn't be able to get it in there, or somebody who might, have the micro penis, might be afflicted with a micro penis.
Right.
They wouldn't feel anything, even with the belt. I could see this being, it's for your average dude, but it's not for everybody.
I would say, that's absolutely accurate. So the micro penis is never going to work in this. Just because, there's no way. But I would say go ahead.
Those guys are just fucked anyway. I mean,
or not.
You mean they're not fucked?
It's like being left-handed. It's just not your world. Sorry.
Get out of
here. Yeah.
Hit the road. If you were had an exceptional bit of length, you'd probably be okay. But then again, you're just working the top. What are you doing with the rest of it? Because this thing it's only 5.5, 6 inches.
Oh, really?
Oh yeah.
I thought it was longer.
Not that long.
Oh, okay. Yeah. No. So
yes,
we're talking about the device. We're not talking about McShane.
Okay. When he says this thing,
there's one picture there where there's like cartoon hands holding it and showing you how to tighten the belt, and it doesn't look very big.
It's not. It was tight.
The one that I reviewed, if you recall, it's only like 3.5, 4 inches. So it's not very big either, but it's got that motor going. So even if you're, fully down all the way down on the shaft, you're still getting the vibrationals all throughout your whole member.
Right.
So yeah, interesting. I can't believe they're charging what they're charging for this.
Oh, it was only 16. It was $16.
Well, I know, but I'm saying why? I mean, so all right. Here's the question: Is it superior to your hand?
No.
Okay, so that's what I'm saying. How are they making $17 off this thing?
Because somebody doesn't want to use their hand anymore. I don't know. Maybe they're missing fingers and they really. I have no idea. I was thinking about this myself earlier today. I'm like, I have to review this and I have to justify $16. And I'm like, I don't know that I can. Now, granted, this morning was way better and the cleanup is fine. No issues there. Sure. But, and the belt, the red belt that goes around it works exactly the way it should. And I will say this was interesting. So how you see how it's got an open end to it? I can't believe we're talking about this. If you cup the end of it so that you're you're over that hole, there's a lot of suction there. There's a lot of suction
there. That is excellent. That made this whole review worth it right there. Excellent piece of information right there. Because now I'm thinking, could you put a piece of saran wrap over it and then tighten it with the belt, and then you've got your own, it's sucking you off literally.
I'm going to try that later. I mean, thank you. Jesus. That you just brought this home.
Dude, this is great radio. I
everybody's
know it's embarrassing
tuning in for this. No, I think it's funnier than fuck. You guys, and especially the way you guys were just fucking champions before. So
no, but I mean, even I was like, okay, how do I get over the embarrassment of this? Well, I just have to go over the top with my description. But it's not. I mean, you're talking about pleasuring yourself. And it's not something you normally talk about with buddies, let alone to all of our listeners. So I commend you for your bravery for taking the plunge. We've all done it now. I think we can all do it again. But your description here Because now I kind of want to. I mean, I have an extra $17 that I could blow on this thing. Because now I want to try the Saran Wrap deal.
Is that picture? Is it of the thing like a side view and then a miniature version of it standing up?
Yeah.
Because it kind of looks like a handheld mini bazooka.
Hey,
it's like a BFG, a big fucking gun.
Yeah, when the apocalypse hits, it doubles as a fucking weapon.
My cock turns into a shotgun, and this is what I use to pump it. There
you go.
Jesus Christ.
Sawed-off shotgun, hand on the pump. All right.
Another 40. Yep.
Jesus.
Thank you both for making that so much better.
No, great review, dude. I'm really, Jefe, I don't know about you, but I'm really pleased you were here for this.
Oh, me too.
I'm really glad.
I got a question before I go.
Yeah.
What you got?
You guys ever eaten while you're taking a shit?
What the fuck, dude? That is personally for me, no, that's a big giant negative. I don't combine my pooping time with any other bodily function. I mean, I pee, but that's it.
Oh God.
That is it. I don't
okay.
Nothing else.
The amount of high that I have right now in my head from choking and laughing at that, you'd not believe the head rush I just got. Thank you.
Why would you ask that, Jefe? What
Well, I promised my little one a grilled cheese today, and then things happened and I forgot. And so as I'm like getting ready to jump in the shower, she's like, "Oh, what about my grilled cheese?" So I made a grilled cheese really fast, and I made one for myself. And then it was like time to jump in the shower, and I had to take a shit, and so I just killed two birds with one stone. And it was really weird, but I mean, I wouldn't recommend it, but probably won't.
So it was like a 2-star experience, or
yeah, how would you?
One and a half?
That's your Yelp review.
Would not recommend eating in this bathroom.
Oh, I've eaten on the way to the bathroom, but I've not eaten in the bathroom.
Yeah. Oh yeah, no, I brought it right up to and including the bathroom door, but never while.
Yeah. Thank you for your service, Jefe.
Yeah.
I'll be back in 40 minutes. You guys are still around.
All right, man.
All right.
All right.
Talk to you later. You know, only on Whiskey Hell can we go to the places that we go.
Oh, nobody's ever going to go to the places we go. You're goddamn right.
No, and I mean, this is real human life that we're living,
right.
and we get to share it with all of our amazing listeners. So thank you all for being along for the ride. Yeehaw.
Let's take a break real quick. We'll come back and get into a few things before we wind things up. All right, Fitz. We got to talk about RL Stine. This is a big deal.
Yeah, it is. Let's hit this real quick. We're gonna do our quick hits section. We're gonna hit some stuff that maybe you guys haven't heard of or heard about. We're gonna give our quick opinion, and we'll move on to the next one. But this one's kind of a big one because I got mad respect for RL Stine right now.
Here's a little video. We're gonna cut it short, but here's this. This is, again, for whatever reason, the videos this week, a lot of them were from Fox News. So just we'll just go with it.
Nigerian. I got a lot of this from you.
Oh my God. Fucking. Oh, this is so terrible.
.com.
Tell us. Iconic children's book series Goosebumps, you know that, right? Facing a new monster. The monster is called the Woke Publisher. Reports claiming they've removed references to weight, ethnicity, and mental health. But the author, RL Stine, tweeting this: "I've never changed a word in Goosebumps. Any changes were never shown to me." End tweet. With us now, the Fox Business host is Kennedy. How you doing?
Very well.
Apparently they
and
changed...
terrified of this censorship.
Yes. African Americans been changed to with brown skin, having 6 chins. Was rewritten to describe the characters being tall instead of obese. We got it. We put up. Okay, there you go. With the new text reading, at least 6 feet tall. Wolf whistle as whistled loud. They didn't deny it, so the changes were made. And the author says you never talk to me.
So, what do you think about going into a museum in Holland with a file and just sawing down some of the brush strokes on a Van Gogh? You know, it's like, it looks a little bumpy to me. You know, it's like, it looks a little pointy. It's the same thing. These are works of art. So, yes, you have to stop. But maybe every once in a while, people should be offended. Maybe they should be challenged. Maybe they should read how people were described when we used more descriptive words. And I actually think this is sort of a new Coke, classic Coke thing, because what they're doing is getting kids interested in books. And as a mom, I think this is great, because I'm going to tell my children, go get the older copies of Ian Fleming and Roald Dahl, because there's dirty stuff in there. The new stuff is totally sanitized. Before, kids were just on their phones. They were TikToking. Now they're like, what? There's stuff in books they don't want me to read?
She's the best mom. I love, we live in the same building. I love learning from her and her parenting. This is what Scholastic said to the New York Times, that it made the changes to keep the language current and avoid imagery that could negatively impact a young person's view of themselves today, with a particular focus on mental health. Perhaps this is well intended, but it's also, this is his work. This is his.
He's an author. He wrote the book a certain way. If you don't like it, have somebody else write a different book.
Yeah, either you publish the fucking thing or you don't publish the fucking thing. Don't change my shit. I am, we've discussed on the show, I'm in the middle of writing a novel. It's hard work. And one of the only things that keeps me going on it is the fact that this is my words, my emotions, my vision that I want out there. I want to put a picture into someone else's head through words. Do you know how hard that is? And then if I have a publisher that's like, I don't like the picture you're putting in there because of mental health, I'm going to change the picture, then it's not my stuff anymore. That's not my work. That's not my words. Unbelievable that we are living in this time.
This is Scholastic books.
Yep.
This is like
huge.
What is some of your favorite memories of going to elementary school? Was it the book fair?
Book fair. I was just gonna say book fair. Absolutely.
Did you have the bookmobile? I had a bookmobile when I went to school in Tempe.
Yep. I had the bookmobile.
So we'd be able to go onto the bookmobile and we'd be able to go and buy books for like $2, $3. And it was stuff like Goosebumps. It was stuff like, that
choose your own adventure.
Yeah.
Like were you, if you chose the wrong one, you actually died. Your character died. That would never be written.
It's so fucking frustrating because this is woke bullshit. It truly is. And I'm not trying to offend anybody. I want you guys feel good about you. It's totally fine. But an author who's creating art, who's creating a story, imagination, does not have to use verbiage, language that doesn't sit well with you.
Right.
He can use whatever language that he wants to paint the picture that he wants. That's the whole point of writing.
Dude, we're full circle back to, well, we're just going to omit these things so that we don't upset anyone because we're not really sure they can handle it. That's what the U.S. government did with Twitter. They're editing out the truth.
Get upset and get fucked while you're at it.
Yep. Agreed. Unreal.
So last week we talked about what the hell's this name? Fuck, Graham. What the hell's that fuckstick in South Carolina? The one, Jesus, I know that really narrows things down. Last week, Senator Lindsey Graham. Thank you.
Lindsey. Yeah. Yep.
Paved the way, which ironically, for Biden to go ahead and he entered a bill so that we could start looking at going into Mexico. Now, mind you, we're not going to actually, ask Mexico if that's okay. But we're talking about going into Mexico to deal with the cartels.
Right. Declare war on their cartels.
Right.
A sovereign nation. And you guys have a problem there that we don't like, so we're going to come in and fix it for you. What?
In the name of fentanyl, which we already talked about this last week, and I think probably the week before, fentanyl is a huge Chinese thing.
Yep.
And yes, it is made in Mexico, regardless of what the president wants to say here. But it's also made with, Chinese help, and it's coming across the border. Okay, totally get it. Well, the Mexican president, and I don't like that this guy uses his initials.
Lopez.
It's President Lopez.
President Lopez, yeah.
Either they change the way they're treating Mexico, or we start an information campaign in the U.S. to ensure not a single Hispanic vote goes to Republicans. We are not a protectorate nor a colony of the U.S. We do not receive orders from anyone. Now, the irony here is that it's actually the Democrats that want to go into Mexico.
Yep.
The bill was introduced by Lindsey Graham, a Republican. Biden would be the one who's going into Mexico. So, I don't know where the fuck he's going with his comments, but this is where we're at. Now, we talked about this early last year when we were talking about how it looks like it would be very easy for the big three powers, the Americans, the U.S., Russia, and China, to divvy up the world.
You bet.
We haven't had our time to actually go into any place over in our neck of the woods. Russia was going into Ukraine, very easily could go into the rest of the areas around there, right? Get the Soviet Union back together and then some.
Yep.
China would love India. Wants Taiwan. We've already talked about that.
Sure. And they'll get
it. And Taiwan is next. Yeah, Taiwan is next.
They'll get it.
It looks to me like this is the game plan.
Yeah, no, so I've been watching a lot of Peter Zeihan, listening to, actually. He was on Joe Rogan probably a month ago now, and I listened to that entire episode, and I'll be upfront. I don't agree with everything he says. I think he's dead wrong on climate change. I think some of his conclusions, now he knows his facts. He's got his shit down. He's an economist. He's an economist at the highest level. And what I love about him is that he is a geopolitical economist. So he doesn't just look at the economy, but he looks at what kind of landmass are we looking at? What does Ukraine have to offer Russia? What does Mexico have to offer the United States? Why are these motivations, these decisions being made, and what motivations are making these decisions? So I like him from that point of view, but I think he's dead wrong on a lot of stuff. He's convinced that humans are changing the climate, and so I disagree. But
he's full of shit on that.
Oh, yeah, but a lot of the stuff that he's saying, and one of the things that he says is that Mexico is, if we have Mexico, at least as an ally, then we can, if we need to, we can completely insulate ourselves from the rest of the world. We are a net food exporter here in this country. Yep. Mexico has cheap and actually at this point fairly highly educated job or workforce. They work for cheaper than Chinese labor does, and they're more educated and more trainable. So we could just isolate ourselves and just have Mexico produce everything that we don't want to. We would take care of the food for everybody. So Mexico is hugely important to us, even more so than Canada, Britain, any of that. We would leave them out to dry if it came down to, okay, we need to draw borders and just, build a fucking wall. It's not going to be along the Mexican border. I'll tell you that. Mexico is very important to our economics and our sustainability. So I appreciate that the Mexican president is standing up for his country and saying, hey, you don't own us. Shut the fuck up. We will take care of it. But also that we need to tread carefully with when it comes to Mexico, because they have some things that we need.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
Yeah. Yep.
And wouldn't you, I mean, that's a huge amount of resources.
Yes.
So imagine, they become part of the U.S. We work out a deal. You guys are sovereign. You guys can be a sovereign nation. we take the whole NAFTA thing to the next level.
Right.
You got Canada up to the north. Canada's going to wall you off from Russia because the polar ice caps or the Arctic's it's melting, allegedly. You've got Canada to the north. You've got us in the middle. We're just cozy, and then you've got all the resources that you have down in the Middle America, because it's not going to stop with Mexico, right? I mean, it's going to go down into South America. So it makes sense. I don't see that's. I think it's going to happen. I think
on the flip side of it, Mexico has a real cartel problem. I don't know if you've read anything, and this is a quick digress. I know we need to keep moving here, but El Salvador is really cracking down on MS-13.
Yep.
The huge worldwide gang that actually started here in the States, which a lot of people don't know, but El Salvador's had enough. And they've got like 30,000 people in prison that are all MS-13, gang members. I mean, with the face tattoos and the whole thing.
Was this the new penitentiary?
Yes.
They did?
Yes. Yep.
Oh,
the new prison was built just for these guys.
Describe that, because that was surreal.
It is surreal. It's a little scary, but this thing was built. It's state of the art. All the technology. It's like, you have, your two level authentication for some of your websites and stuff. The way they set this prison up, it's 5 levels of security to even get a door open. So it can't just be any one guy or any 3 guys to open a gate. 5 people will have to be present to open any one gate. So yes, logistically that's going to slow things down, but if they need to lock that place down, it's locked and no one's getting out. And on top of that, they run it like a fucking military boot camp. They got these guys walking a certain way, running in lines, obeying orders, or they get the fuck taken out. And the prisoners know it. They know what their boundaries are. The guards know it. And it's run like a military style, prison. And nobody's getting in or out unless you're supposed to be there. So yeah, some really crazy footage coming out there. And again, the footage is all going to be chosen in propaganda and whatever.
Oh yeah.
But
yeah.
They have a personal SWAT team, a riot team that's on call. They can be there in 5 minutes, and it's like 1,000 people. I think it was like maybe 1,200. So I mean, not just a small show of force. I know they're bringing out the fucking, and they're in full riot gear. So El Salvador's had enough. They're cracking down on MS-13. No more in our country. And so if Mexico could get serious like that, then maybe we don't have to go in there and take care of the cartels. Because right now the cartels, from some of the stuff I've heard, they have more weapons and personnel than most of the world's armies. I mean, they're better equipped than most armies.
So some of the cartels, especially the one we're gonna talk about now, they have basically SWAT teams.
Yeah.
They have special ops. So I mean, they're outfitted top to bottom. Which, why wouldn't you be at this point? If I can go if I can go to Sportsman's, okay, and buy half of the shit that they wear, that an operator wears.
Yep.
There's no reason these guys can't get a hold of some really, really super good shit from an arms dealer. So it doesn't. I mean, yeah, absolutely. Now you were talking about, again, this is one of the stories that this is going to be a bigger deal, but now we kind of pushed it off to the end here. Cartel. This is bizarre, and I think more shit's going to come out about this. Mexican cartel is very sorry for kidnapped and murdered Americans. Some Americans left from South America and went down to Matamoros? Yeah, Matamoros.
Matamoros, yeah.
And one woman was getting a tummy tuck. Okay. But she took with her 5 people. 2 of them ended up dying because they were killed apparently by this cartel. It's an incredibly weird story. The weirdest part, and you can get into why these people went there, why they went down there. there's a ton of backstory. Do the research on that. But the part that doesn't make any sense is that the Gulf Cartel, which is one of the biggest cartels in Mexico, they're actually on the Caribbean side, I believe.
Yeah.
They lined up 5 members and an apology note.
Yep. They said
fuck?
Sorry. Well, so here's my theory, and this is, you won't get this in the mainstream media, obviously. But they are one of the bigger cartels, but they are not anywhere near as big as the Sinaloa cartel.
No.
Sinaloa is the biggest down there in Mexico. They run everything from drugs to people to avocados to limes. They have control over anything that can make them money. And I think these guys endangered Sinaloa's, turf,
agree with that. Yep.
and their sort of image in the public eye. And the Sinaloa said, either you fucking issue an apology and say that you did it, or we're gonna wipe you the fuck out. And so that's what happened. That's my personal opinion.
I am with you. There's 2 avenues, okay, that I can see. That one is for sure one of them, absolutely. The other one, this was a hit. This was to prompt. It followed right after Lindsey Graham did his thing.
Yeah, that's true too.
And it gives us, you wait, let's see what kind of violence happens in the next month and see if that ramps things up.
No, I could definitely be swayed to that side too. I'm
with you. Something's shady. Something is shady.
Yeah, for sure. No, and I think the Sinaloas are they're in bed with the American government. We know that for sure. And I say that I say it offhandedly, but trust me, there's receipts out there. We know that they're in constant contact with the CIA. I just don't think they wanted to jeopardize what they have going. They have a good thing going, and I think they put the pressure on. But if it comes out what you're saying, that this is just a political ploy, that this other cartel, the Gulf Cartel, is also in bed with the CIA, and we want to start like you said earlier, a Black Swan event. That wouldn't surprise me either. So, here's the thing, folks, is that anytime you read a news headline, you got to read between the lines, because we've been doing this long enough now. There's no way I'm taking for word what the headline is saying and going, oh, okay, that's what happened. Never.
Not a fucking
chance.
No.
I'm gonna have another beer, and I'm gonna just fucking take a deep dive and see what I can find out. And that's what we're encouraging all of you to do. We don't know everything. Certainly, we have our opinions, but in all seriousness, go out there, do your research, and find out what's really going on out there, because things are in motion here that we can't undo, and it could be significant.
So Fitz, let's get to your cool shit. Let's roll over everything else. We'll talk about the next show. I know you and Jefe are going to plan something, and I fucking love that. I love that. But so this might help. But you found hover bikes. We need to get to hover bikes, because this looks badass. I want one, and there's no way this is good. There's no way this is a good thing.
You're probably right on that. Okay, so there's a Japanese company. They are hold on, I'm getting to it. They're called X Turismo, and they just got listed on the NASDAQ. So they're like a legit company with some big time investors investing in them, and they've created a hover bike. Basically, picture a motorcycle style mount, or maybe like a Sea-Doo mount that you're sitting on, and then it has these 2 main fans and then 4 side fans that come off of it. So 6 total fans that keep you not only aloft, but can, move you in any direction. And the thing apparently can go 60 miles an hour and can stay up in the air for up to 4 hours on the battery. So basically it's a giant drone that they've hooked up a thing that you can ride. You're riding a giant little fan drone, but These things right now are starting at about $550,000. So it's just a plaything for the ultra rich. But their plan is with these investments to really make it accessible to the everyday person. So we could theoretically in the next 5 to 7 years have these things be about what it would cost you to buy a new family, minivan. And you could be hovering around, and I believe the ceiling on these things is about 1,500 feet.
Seriously?
Yeah. So you could have these things, you could have your approved flight path and you're at 800 feet and you're just zooming along to work on a fucking hover bike.
I would fucking love that.
Oh my God. I mean, you know what? Even just because people have toys. They have their ATVs, they have their Sea-Doos, they have their motorbikes. They have the things that they want to go do on the weekends to just go screw around. Imagine these things flying all around. Like you could have speeder bike races.
Fuck yeah, that's what you're gonna do first.
Exactly. and probably less disruptive to the environment than a motorbike.
Oh,
you're not making shreds through the forest floor. You're just missing trees. And I mean, even if it was just a weekend cruise, me and the wife get on the hover bike and we cruise up and down the Oregon coast. How amazing would that be, right? I mean, you just watching the whales, you're watching the people on the beach, you're seeing schools of fish. I mean, really, just the romantic side of it could really be an amazing thing. So anyway, they're working on the technology to make these things accessible to the everyday, man or woman that wants to buy one. And I'm all for it. I know there's going to be accidents. I know there's going to be
there's
catastrophes.
It's going to be an absolute clusterfuck because
yeah, it's a shit
like
show.
anything, well, it's totally disruptive, right? I mean, there's not active planning for an airspace over a highway or
a neighborhood,
a freeway or a neighborhood, right?
Yeah.
So there's going to be a day though where you're out in your backyard and you're swimming or whatever, whoever, and some dude comes flying by. Hey, how's it going? Hey,
come on in for a
zooms
beer.
on by.
Yeah. I mean, can you imagine like Monday morning, right? It's Monday morning. Everybody's getting ready for work. It's 8:00 and you just hear the woo of like 70 of these things, all your neighbors just taking off on their way to work. Crazy.
I wonder what their stock. Let me look at their stock price because their ticker name is AWIN, AWIN.
Yeah.
Let me look and see if I can find their stock.
Yeah, the parent company is called Airwinds.
Seriously, they're at 98 cents.
Wow. Imagine if these things take off. That's a buy right there. That's a buy. That's
They're
a steal.
At 98 cents right now. They're down from $2. Irwin's, AERWINS technology. Year to date, they topped out at 15. They're now down to 98 cents. I'm going to throw some money on that. Fuck it.
Yeah.
Why wouldn't you?
Yeah. I mean, you just your imagination. This is one of those stories where your imagination can kind of get the best of you because you just think, man, what if I owned one of those? How fun could that be to fly around my neighborhood, to fly wherever I wanted. And, you set a timer on your phone, on your watch, whatever, and at 2 hours, however far you've gone, you start heading back home. And by the time,
or wherever your charge depot is, you fly to the mall and you go charge the fucking thing.
You spend the $10,000 on the extra battery pack and you extend your flight time to 10 hours. I mean, we have battery packs for our phones that are portable that we bring with us in case our phone starts to die. Why couldn't we do that for these things?
I want one.
How fun. Anyway, it was definitely worth mentioning on the show. And when it happens, I want everybody to think back, man, I heard about this on Whiskey Hell like 5 years ago. And now I'm writing one of these things, and I gotta send the guys a message. Hey guys, I bought one. I want that message.
Jesus.
Yeah.
I'm right there fucking with you.
Yeah. Good stuff.
Fitz, what beer are you taking to bed?
Well, as predicted earlier, I'm definitely taking my pastry stout, my churro fuckfest chocolate cinnamon churro pastry stout from Untitled Art. Such a good beer. Now, I will say, you mentioned earlier how you're not big on the really sweet beers. This one was a bit sweet, not overpowering, but it's definitely a dessert beer. It's definitely sort of the thing you want to have at the end after the meal.
Right.
But it wasn't overpoweringly sweet, and you definitely got, I mean, if that's your thing, chocolate cinnamon, go for it, because that's chocolate cinnamon in a drink. So I'm definitely gonna make love with that thing on a Mexican beach all night. My other beer, I'm definitely surprised. It did warm up nicely, still a bit bitter up front. So that's why it's not really gonna make the cut. I probably wouldn't buy it again. Not that it was bad, it's just not my speed. But yeah, I'm going Mexican pastry stout, or Mexican chocolate cinnamon churro pastry stout all day. So what about you? What are you doing?
I enjoy the Cerebral Brewing a lot more. It's it's an Imperial Coffee Stout, which is it was an angry beer, for lack of a better term. The Squatch was good, and it did warm up nicely, but it was definitely a much more decadent, a sweet beer. That's something that I don't dig as much when it's not like a Belgian. If it's a Belgian, that's a really fun, sweet, high ABV Viking type of beer. This was just sweet. If I wanted to get diabetes, I'd have more of these, but I'm going to pass on it.
Fair enough.
But I will say this now, I'm done with 903. I'm not going to have another 903 unless it is something that's like epic, and there's going to be a very long time in between now and the next time I have it. I'm done with them. I'm really done with 903 brewing.
I mean, fair. We've given them enough opportunities, and they really just haven't come through.
Yep. Several times over. All right. So, Fitz, thank you. I can't say this enough, that I appreciate how hard you work during the week, bringing up stuff that I don't see during the week. You guys, if you guys ever got a chance to look at what happens in our chat.
Yeah.
It's fucking
Crazy.
Ridiculous. First of all, we can't talk about a lot of the stuff that we talk about in there anyway, but the amount of content that we find, and this is just the stuff that actually makes it into the show. There you have typically, 15 to 30 stories that we look at to go ahead and drop in that may be over like 7 or 8 different topics. That's not even all of the stuff that Fitz and I find throughout the week. That's only the stuff that makes the cut. So you're getting, hopefully, a shit ton of value for the time that you're putting in listening to us. So we appreciate all the time that you're doing and putting in, and we hope that you're paying that forward to other people, other listeners. Tell them to, you don't necessarily have to listen to us. We'd love for you to, but think things through.
Yeah.
Come at things from a higher altitude so that you can kind of see what the whole perspective is, see what all of the players are, see why they're actually playing in the game. Otherwise, we're all just going to be on the same fucking hamster wheel, spinning and spinning and spinning until we get tired and then we fall asleep.
Yep.
That's not a way to live.
No, dude. Well said. And a quick shout out to Jefe, because while he does contribute to the chat, I'm not saying he doesn't. There are days when you and I are going, it's just like story after story after story. And then you come in with 5 stories of your own. And then I come back with 3 or 4 other. And Jefe's out there trying to make a fucking living and support his family, and having to deal with all of our ridiculousness. So shout out to Jefe for just even keeping up with us and putting up with us. But he also helps make this show. So I mean, We just have the perfect chemistry right now.
We totally do. And I'm glad you mentioned that, because the other end of that is, one, I mean, you guys have seen it. I mean, Jefe is always the comic relief. He always helps us change gear, because we can be morbid as fuck. But here's the other thing too. Jefe is starting to bring in news stories that are important to him also.
True.
So we'll do more towards making sure that stuff gets propagated up here so that you guys know which ones are whose. But just know that there are stories out here, and we need to do a better job of making sure that Jefe gets involved in those stories, especially when we bring them up, because he's brought some stuff up that we haven't even seen. So we have such a fine balance right now. And yes, I'm totally masturbating us right now. I don't care. At the end of the day, we want you guys to have the best content possible. We want you to feel good about being able to look at what's going on and being able to make good decisions and being able to go and think for yourselves. We don't want you to hate us. We don't need you to necessarily love us. We just want you to kind of be comrades in arms, looking at things objectively and saying, you know what? Things are kind of fucked up right now. We can do better. That's really what it's all about. So we hope that you guys got a little levity out of things, a little bit of perspective, and at the end of the day, God damn it, thank you for listening, because that's really makes it fun.
Yep, that's what it's all about. I mean, if we only had one listener and it was Jefe, this show would be worth it. But the fact is, we've got tons of listeners out there, and more coming online every week. And I don't know why. I don't know what's happening. I don't know if friends are telling friends or whatever, but for whatever reason, we've got listeners out there, and they keep increasing every week. And so it really motivates the three of us to do more, to be better, and to maybe not be as inebriated as we used to be in the earlier shows, and just really focus on the news. And anyway, we love every one of you out there. And if you disagree with us, great. That's what we want. Let us know. If you agree with us, that's fine too. But this show is intended to be a dialogue. It wouldn't work if it was just me or just McShane or just Jefe. It needs to be a conversation, and it needs to be a balance between the wacky shit that happens in life and the funny stuff, all the way to the really serious stuff that we all need to pay attention to. And that's the balance we try and strike every week. And for all of those of you who are out there along the journey with us, thank you so much, because you are why we do this.
Well said. At whiskey_hell on Twitter, Whiskey Hell Pod on Instagram, whiskeyhellpod.com is the website. We appreciate you listening. I'm Steve McShane.
I'm Fitz.
We'll talk to you soon.